Only winners will find this video today, not by chance, not by accident, but because something in the universe has aligned perfectly to bring you to this moment, this message, this turning point that your soul has been silently waiting for. And as you read these words, you might feel a strange mix of calm and intensity, because the truth is, deep inside, you've always known you were meant for more, that your life was never supposed to be ordinary, that there's a fire inside you still burning quietly beneath the surface. And this video, this message is here to stoke that fire into an unstoppable blaze. You see, the world doesn't reward the ones who wait, it rewards the ones who decide, who move, who act when no one else believes in them, who keep going when the odds seem impossible, who refuse to give up even when failure knocks a fona 1,000 times. And I want to remind you today that you are one of those people, not because someone gave you permission, not because everything has been easy, but because something powerful has been planted deep inside you, a seed of greatness that life may have tried to bury under doubt, under pain, honesty, under failure, under fear, but it has never stopped growing. And now is the time to water that seed with belief, with action, with relentless courage, because the clock isn't waiting for anyone. And if you want to change your life, it starts not tomorrow, not next week, but today. You don't need another plan, another excuse, another distraction. You need a decision, a moment where you say, I'm done playing small, I'm done waiting, I'm done hiding, because nothing changes until you do. And I know you've been through storms. Life has tested you. People have doubted you. You've doubted yourself. Maybe you failed over and over again. Maybe you've been overlooked, underestimated, told you'll never make it, maybe even by the people who were supposed to believe in you the most. But I want you to know, none of that defines you. Not anymore, because you're here now. That means something inside you is still alive, still fighting, still ready to rise, and you need to honor that fire by stepping into the version of yourself that is bold, that is fierce, that is hungry for more, not just more money or more success, but more meaning, more impact, more truth, more fulfillment. And the only way to get there is to become the kind of person who no longer negotiates with their dreams, who no longer asks for permission to rise, who no longer tiptoes around their own potential. Because winners don't wait for the right conditions. They create them. They train when no one's watching. They sacrifice when no one understands. They keep going when no one claps. And they believe in the power of persistence over perfection, of consistency over convenience, and of faith over fear. Let this be the moment you look in the mirror and see not who you've been, but who you're becoming: a leader, a creator, a warrior, someone who doesn't just survive, but who builds, who breaks limits, who makes no excuses, someone who's willing to work in silence until their success makes the noise. And I want to speak directly to the part of you that's been waiting for a sign, waiting for something to finally shift and tell you, this is it. This is the moment where everything begins to change. Not because life suddenly got easier, but because you finally decided to take back your power. Focus your discipline and your destiny. And it won't be easy, nothing great ever is, but it will be worth it, because nothing compares to waking up each day knowing you are becoming who you were born to be. And if you're tired of pretending, of playing small, of saying, maybe next year, then I challenge you, make today the day you draw a line in the sand and say, no more wasted time, no more broken promises to yourself. No more letting fear make your decisions, because you were not made to blend in. You were not born to settle. You are here to thrive, to build something that lasts, to live a life that makes people say, how did they do it? And the answer will always be simple. You decided, you committed, you became unstoppable. And the truth is, you don't have to know all the answers right now. You don't need to see the full path. You just need to start walking, to take that first uncomfortable step, and then the next, and the next, and the next, because momentum is built not from knowing, but from doing. And every step you take in faith creates ripples in the unseen world that eventually reshape your visible world. But only if you start, only if you push through, only if you rise again every time you fall. And you will fall, you will fail. You will question everything, but those are not signs to quit. Those are the tests that separate the dreamers from the doers, the talkers from the winners, the average from the extraordinary. And you are not average, not now, not ever. Because winners don't stop when they're tired, they stop when they're done, and you're not done yet. You're just getting started. And if you can hold on to your vision even when everything feels dark, if you can speak your dreams out loud even when no one believes in them, if you can do the hard things when no one is watching, then I promise you, life will open doors you never thought possible. Because the universe responds to courage, not comfort, to action, not intention, to those who dare to step forward even with shaking legs. And that's what you're being asked to do now. To move, to rise, to show up as the version of yourself who doesn't need validation, who doesn't need perfect timing, who doesn't need every doubt erased before they begin. Because the truth is, the winner in you doesn't need more information. They need activation, and that starts now. And now that you've activated the fire within, let it grow. Let it consume the limitations you once believed in. Let it burn down every excuse, every hesitation, every false identity that kept you small. Because the truth is, transformation isn't something that happens to you. It's something you become through intention, repetition, and belief. You must be willing to rewire your thoughts, to rebuild your routines, to reshape your world from the inside out. And that takes something deeper than motivation. It takes identity. Because when your identity changes, your behavior automatically follows. And it's time to see yourself not as the person with potential, but as the person living it, not as someone hoping to change, but as someone already embodying change. Already becoming the version of yourself who no longer negotiates with weakness or laziness or self-doubt. Because the greatest shift you can make is this: I no longer tolerate anything less than greatness from myself, and that shift changes everything. It's in your morning decisions, your late night discipline, your willingness to say a no to distractions and a yes to the vision when nobody else sees it. And make no mistake, there will be days you don't feel ready, days your energy is low, your motivation is absent, and your path feels foggy. But that's where the real winners rise, because they understand success is built on boring, quiet, unseen hours of effort stacked day after day after day. And you must be willing to become obsessed with progress, obsessed with mastering your time, your focus, your mental clarity. Because the most valuable currency you own isn't money, it's attention. And wherever your attention goes, your life flows. So if your attention is scattered, your results will be too. But when your attention becomes precise, powerful, and consistent, there's nothing you can't do. And that's why you must train your mind every single day, like a warrior sharpening a blade. Because your mind will try to sabotage you with stories from the past, with fears, with doubts, with old programming designed to protect you. But you're not here for safety. You're here for expansion. You're here to break cycles, to build legacies, to wake up one day and say, I did that. Not because it was easy, but because it was necessary, because it was who you chose to become. And I need you to understand something right now. Your future self is watching you. Hoping you'll make the hard choice today, because every easy choice takes you further away from that version, and every difficult one brings you closer. So choose hard now to live easy later. Wake up early, train your body, feed your mind, write your goals, speak your affirmations, stay away from anything that drains your spirit, and give your energy only to what builds your power, because this is how winners live, not in fantasy, but in discipline, not in dreaming, but in doing. And the key to all of it is consistency, not once in a while, but daily, hourly, moment by moment. And that consistency comes from clarity. Clarity about who you are, why you're here, and what you're building. So write it down. See it in your mind every day like a movie. Visualize your future until it feels more real than your current reality. Because the more you hold it in your vision, the faster your reality begins to shape around it. And don't let your current circumstances fool you. They are not your truth. They are your test. And the universe doesn't respond to how bad you want it. It responds to how long you can hold the frequency of already having it. So raise your energy, raise your standards, and never apologize for chasing something bigger than what you were handed, because your story isn't over, it's just beginning, and it's up to you to write it, not with excuses, but with action, with daily proof that you are no longer who you used to be. And let the people doubt you, let them talk behind your back, let them question your path, because every winner once doubted, once laughed at, once ignored, but they didn't stop, they didn't give up. They didn't trade their power for comfort, and neither will you. Because your future deserves more than your excuses. Your family deserves more than your mediocrity. And your soul deserves to feel what it's like to rise fully, freely, powerfully into purpose. So no matter how many times you fall, get back up, stronger, sharper, clearer, because resilience is not what you're born with. It's what you choose every time life tries to break you. And if you've been broken, good, because now you're free to build something better, something real, something unshakable. And it starts with belief, not just wishful thinking, but embodied, grounded belief that you are capable, that you are worthy, that you are chosen, and you don't need permission to act on that belief. So stand up right now, take a deep breath, and speak it. I am done playing small. I am done waiting for signs. I am the sign. I am the shift. I am the storm, and let that energy pour through you like electricity, like fire, like fuel. And from this day forward, walk, speak, move like someone who knows they're becoming legendary. Because that's what winners do. Not someday, but today. Not if but when. Not maybe but now. And now that you've embraced the fire, claimed your vision, and committed to consistency, the next level demands something even deeper, complete and total ownership. Because winners don't wait for rescue. They become their own rescue. They don't outsource their power to circumstance, people, luck, or timing. They take the steering wheel of their reality and drive it with conviction. And that means taking full responsibility for every thought, every decision, every moment of hesitation, and every ounce of energy you release into the world. Because here's the truth most people avoid. Your energy doesn't lie, and if your results are weak, it's because your energy is scattered, unfocused, diluted by distractions and doubt. But when you take command of your inner world, when you stop blaming and start building, when you say everything in my life is my responsibility, not as a burden, but as a superpower, everything shifts because control begins with clarity, and clarity begins with presence. The ability to sit in this exact moment and ask, where is my attention? Where is my power flowing? Am I feeding fear or feeding faith? And the answer to those questions determines the quality of your life. Because winners don't waste energy on things they can't control. They redirect it toward mastery, toward purpose, toward the rituals and habits that shape the future. And the reason so many people stay stuck is not because they lack potential, but because they leak energy into things that don't build their future, scrolling endlessly, comparing constantly, delaying decisions that require courage, saying yes to things that feel like a no inside. But the moment you reclaim that energy, even 5% at a time, you become unstoppable. Because energy is everything. It's the language of the universe. It's the frequency your reality responds to. It's the silent architect of every result you see and every emotion you feel. And when you learn to master your state, you begin bending reality in your favor, not through magic, but through alignment. Because the most magnetic people on earth aren't the loudest. They're the clearest, the ones who know who they are, what they want, and why they're here. And they hold that frequency so consistently that life begins rearranging itself to match their vibration. And you can do this too, not someday, but today. Not when you're ready, but because you're ready. And the process begins by mastering your mind. Not by silencing thoughts, but by choosing which thoughts you believe. Because thoughts come and go like clouds. But the ones you focus on become your weather, your climate, your environment, and eventually, your identity. So if you think small, you act small. But if you think like a giant, like a creator, like someone chosen by life itself to do something great, then you begin walking differently, speaking differently, commanding the room with silence alone. And yes, you'll face resistance, both internal and external, because growth threatens comfort, and every old version of you will scream to stay alive. But you must be stronger than your patterns, bolder than your past, more committed to your vision than your excuses, because you are not here to repeat. You are here to evolve, to become something new, something powerful, and every version of yourself you've ever been was just preparation for this moment, this calling, this next level. So stop carrying the weight of your past like it's still relevant. It's not, unless you keep dragging it forward. And when you finally drop the narrative, I'm not enough, and replace it with I was always enough, I just forgot, the game changes, the energy shifts, the floodgates open, and suddenly, ideas come faster, doors open wider, synchronicities show up daily, because the universe rewards identity, not effort alone. And when you embody the identity of someone who's already living the vision, you collapse time. You step into quantum momentum, where months of progress happen in days, where people show up with what you need, where answers flow effortlessly. And no, it's not luck, It's resonance, because you finally match the version of you that already exists in the unseen. And now that version is merging with this one because you aligned, you believed, you refused to shrink, and you stopped arguing for your limitations. And yes, people will question your glow up. They'll be confused by your confidence. They'll try to bring up your past as if it still defines you. But don't shrink to fit their memory of you. Expand to match your vision of you, because the only thing that matters now is who you are becoming. And every choice you make today is a vote for that future. So cast your vote with intention, with boldness, with absolute belief that your life is not random. It's a reflection of what you allow, what you tolerate, and what you expect. So raise your expectations, raise your frequency, and raise the standard for how you live, how you speak, how you show up, because no one is coming to do it for you. And that's not something to fear, it's something to celebrate, because it means the power has always been yours. And from this moment forward, you move like someone who understands that. Who breathes purpose, who radiates certainty, who walks into rooms and shifts the atmosphere just by existing. Because when your energy is aligned, nothing can stop you, not rejection, not delay, not failure, because you don't see those things as signs to quit. You see them as training, as feedback, as invitations to rise higher, and you will rise again and again and again. Because winners are not those who never fall. They are those who fall and get up quicker every time, who build momentum through mastery, who find peace in chaos and direction in confusion. And that's you now, not someday. Not when the stars align, but right now, in this moment, you decide, I am done playing by the rules of my past. I am done seeking validation from people who wouldn't understand my future. I am done waiting to be chosen. I choose myself, I approve myself, I crown myself, and from this moment forward, I walk like royalty, not in ego but in energy, not in pride but in presence, because I know who I am. I know what I carry, and I know what I'm creating. And if the world isn't ready, that's fine. I'll show them by example. I'll lead with action. I'll shine so brightly that doubt can't survive in my light. Because I'm not just dreaming. I'm doing, I'm building. I'm showing up when it's hard. I'm loving myself when it's messy. I'm speaking power when fear tries to whisper. And I'm no longer entertaining the version of me who thought I couldn't, because that version is gone, released with gratitude, and now I rise. Now that you've walked through the fire, reclaimed your energy, mastered your inner state, and released the old identity that no longer serves your higher calling, it's time to cross the final threshold, the point where thinking stops and becoming begins. Because there's a difference between wanting a new life and living one, between having potential and stepping into power. And winners don't stop at intention. They execute, they move, they embody the frequency of the outcome they've already claimed, not someday, but now. Because when you act like the person you are becoming, reality has no choice but to mirror your transformation, not because of luck or timing, but because energy doesn't lie and results don't wait for perfection. They respond to courage, and courage is not the absence of fear. It's moving forward in the presence of it. It's choosing progress over comfort, execution over hesitation, identity over insecurity. And if you're still holding back, it's not because you're not ready. It's because you're still trying to perfect a version of you that was only meant to get you here. And now you need to evolve again, to grow sharper, braver, louder in your conviction, and quieter in your doubts. Because no one changes the world by waiting to be told they can. They rise by becoming the permission others are waiting for. And in doing so, they light the path for everyone else. And that's what this part of your journey is about. Not just rising for yourself, but becoming the reason someone else believes they can rise too. Because your transformation isn't just personal, it's global, it's energetic, it's the ripple that starts the wave. And the final phase of becoming unstoppable begins with embodiment, living, breathing, moving like the version of you that no longer tolerates procrastination, excuses, or energy leaks, and instead feeds their soul with vision, discipline, and aligned action every single day, especially when it's hard, especially when no one is watching, because how you do the small things shapes how the big things unfold. And winners don't separate identity from action. They become the thing they desire. They speak like it's already true. They walk like it's already done. And they don't explain their glow to people who prefer the dark. They simply shine brighter, not to prove, but to lead, to demonstrate, to remind the world what alignment looks like. And the deeper truth is this: execution is a spiritual practice because every time you show up, despite resistance, despite fear, despite fatigue, you declare to the universe, I am worthy of the life I desire. And the universe listens not to your words, but to your vibration. And your vibration is the sum total of your habits, your thoughts, your emotions, your decisions when no one is clapping. When no one is encouraging, when everything feels silent, that's when winners are made in the invisible moments, in the early hours, in the uncelebrated grind, in the space between breakthrough and breakdown, when most people quit and you choose to double down. And if you've made it this far, you already know you're not most people. You already know that comfort never called you, that ease never shaped you, that safety was never your path, because your soul came here for impact, for leadership, for light. And now it's time to walk in that, not as a goal, but as your natural state. Your birthright, your contribution to the collective awakening. Because every time you show someone what's possible, you break a cycle, you disrupt a narrative, you rewrite the blueprint for generations, and that's not something to take lightly. That's something to honor. And the highest form of honor is action, is embodiment, is walking into the day like you've already won, not with arrogance, but with gratitude, knowing that what you've survived has prepared you for what you're stepping into. And what you're stepping into is not ordinary, it's quantum, it's divine. It's the reality you've always felt but couldn't fully touch until now. And if that scares you, good, because fear is the final illusion, the last gatekeeper before your expansion. And winners know that fear means you're close. That doubt shows up when you're on the edge of the life you're meant to live. And instead of retreating, they lean in, they breathe deeper, they move with intention. Because on the other side of fear is freedom. And on the other side of freedom is alignment. And from alignment, execution becomes effortless, not because the work disappears, but because you disappear into the work, into the flow, into the rhythm of your highest self. And when you live there long enough, you begin to forget who you were, not because it wasn't valuable, but because you've evolved into someone so powerful, so anchored, so certain that you can barely recognize the version of you that once begged for scraps of validation. And in that moment, something shifts, the hunger becomes sacred, the process becomes holy, the obstacles become teachers, and life stops happening to you and starts happening through you, because you've become the channel, the vessel, the transmitter of excellence, abundance, clarity, and power. And from that place, life bends, people shift, opportunities multiply, and momentum compounds. And the final layer of this evolution is trust, not in others, but in self, not in outcomes, but in process, not in perfection, but in presence. Because you realize that even if it takes longer, even if no one sees it yet, even if you fall 1,000 more times, you're still moving forward. You're still in the game, and that alone is enough to guarantee victory. Because winners don't need proof, they become the proof. And now it's your turn, not to think about winning, but to live like it's inevitable. To carry yourself like success is your default. To speak like abundance is your language. To choose actions that make doubt irrelevant. And to show up every single day like your name is already etched into the book of legends. Because it is. And your job now is not to argue for your limitations, but to amplify your legacy, to create so much value that the world can't ignore your presence, to shine so brightly that even your silence becomes a sermon. And if you ever forget how powerful you are, just remember how far you've come, how many storms you've outlived, how many doubts you've dismantled, and how many times you could have quit but didn't because something inside you kept whispering, a not yet, we're not done. And that whisper was your future self reaching back through time, reminding you that greatness isn't built in comfort, it's forged in fire. And now you carry that fire not as a burden, but as a torch, not for ego, but for elevation, because someone is watching you right now. Someone is silently rooting for you. Someone is waiting to see if you'll rise. And when you do, you give them permission to rise too. And that's how we change the world. By becoming the example, by living the message, by embodying the win before it arrives. And if this video found you, if this message resonated in your bones, then you already know. This wasn't random. This was divine timing. This was your wake-up call, your confirmation, your reminder that you are not average. You were never meant to fit in. You were born to lead, to blaze trails, to walk with purpose, and to rise again and again and again. Because you are a winner, and only winners will find this video today.